In this video, we're going to talk about a very interesting topic to anybody who has xanthelasma. This is the removal of xanthelasma using TCA. It's very important because TCA is relatively inexpensive and can be found easily from lots of sources on the internet. And it's quite inexpensive, and this is a very important topic for a number of reasons. And the main reason is that xanthelasma removal is quoted very expensively in cosmetic clinics, and people don't normally know how to get to remove them. But the good thing about TCA and cosmetic peels is that they are an effective, proven way of removing xanthelasma. Now, from our business point of view, we do not use TCA. We have started using TCA at the beginning in order to remove xanthelasma. As I say, in the initial formulation of the xanth remover, we used mainly TCA. But then what we found is that TCA is not the best candidate in our view, because there's something else called glycolic acid, which we make now in a gel, and it's quite stable, and glycolic acid with vitamin A at certain percentages is very effective for xanthelasma removal, and it leads to consistent good results without a few effects that TCA produces. So this video is quite important because not everybody can afford to buy the xanth remover, although it's not as expensive as going to a cosmetic clinic. So if you're really struggling and you don't want the money to buy the xanth remover online or other similar products, then TCA is a viable option. And so much viable that has been used for several years in cosmetic clinics for the removal of xanthelasma. And there are also several studies that confirm that. So TCA between 50% to 90% has been used in those studies in order to remove xanthelasma. And we're going to introduce you to a quite interesting set of pictures, which we're going to publish later on because we had been given the permission to do so. At the moment, what you're watching is our DIY section on the xanthelasmaremoval.com. So just as a reminder, if you want to buy the xanth remover, you can buy it from our website. You just click on one of these two links. But in here, we're going to you can already find the information that we're talking about in this video, but we'll also place this particular video in this page. But I'd like to show you this particular set of pictures, and this is the pictures that have been on a blog for a number of good months, and unfortunately the blog has been taken off. This shows a TCA treatment for xanthelasma removal, and the results are absolutely good. And these are good set of pictures because the person is identifiable. The person there put her name and so on. So it's a very good case, and it shows the healing progression. But one thing that is not clear from this picture, and this is the after. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. This is what you want to get from xanthelasma removal treatment. But so as you can see, after one session of using TCA, and if I remember well, that was TCA 50%. You get the frosting here is just the classic frosting from TCA. Then, and this is immediately after during the frosting. This is the before. And just after one session with strong TCA, you can get most of the xanthelasma removed. And it's a very, very good result. And this is why TCA is very good. It's because it leads to consistent results. But why, if it's so good, we're not using it? As I said previously, at the beginning we used TCA. The problem with TCA is that it's not it cannot be controlled really easily. And for this and a number of other reasons, in the cosmetic portals for European cosmetic portals, TCA can still be used, but not as freely. Say, for example, if you, it's got to be used according to certain standards and so on, according to certain criteria. So it's not as if you can make a TCA peel without any constraint. Whereas with glycolic acid, there's not any constraints by legislation. It's because very likely the reason for that is it's much milder, but it leads to the same results as TCA. But the problem with TCA is twofold. Number one, it's very difficult to control. If you put TCA on your skin, it keeps, even if you rub it off after a few minutes or half a minute, then the peeling action keeps going up until it reaches a certain level, which is the dermal layer. And you cannot stop it unless you use a neutralizer. The same does not apply to glycolic acid. And this is why we're using glycolic acid, is because when you use glycolic acid, if you want to stop its effect, you just wipe it off, you rinse the area, off you go. The peeling effect can be stopped really easily. And also it's not as aggressive as TCA. Another good thing that we've found with glycolic acid is if you use it in a certain way and you wipe it off after a certain amount of time, you don't get the same swelling that you get with TCA. When you use TCA for xanthelasma removal, you get normally a quite significant amount of swelling, and that cannot be avoided with glycolic acid. On the other hand, that can be avoided easily by using the product in a certain way and wiping it off after a certain amount of time, which we detail on the instructions. And therefore, in order to recap, TCA is very good, and you can buy it cheaply from eBay and loads of sources on the internet. And from 50% up to 90%, there's case studies that have proven its efficacy, TCA's efficacy in the removal of xanthelasma. However, there's two sides that we don't like about TCA, just because there's some other peels, which is in our case of the xanth remover, is the glycolic acid, which are just as effective but are more easily controlled at home, that we don't like about TCA. One is the fact that TCA normally requires a neutralizer in order to stop its effect, and number two is almost all the time you get quite important swelling soon after the use of TCA on the eyelid area. And since glycolic acid can be used for the same application, we use that. Another note before we will leave you is that if you just use glycolic acid at high percentages, you're not going to get the same effect as you get with a gel made out of glycolic acid, and in the case of xanth remover vitamin A. It's because glycolic acid is milder than TCA. TCA only requires a very, very small amount of application in order to be very effective, whereas glycolic acid doesn't work in the same way. When we make a thick gel, the thicker the gel, the more the ablative action of the product. So if you just use normal TCA at high concentration, 50, 60, 70 and so on, if it's a liquid, it will not produce the same results as glycolic acid, and it's not be as effective as our xanth remover, because xanth remover has been developed in order to remove xanthelasma and benign skin lesions for aesthetic purposes, and this is the reason for being developed in a gel format. So the xanth remover is a glycolic acid gel, and it's very effective because it's in a gel format, and the thicker the gel, the more effective the product becomes. And then, like any other glycolic acid, the longer you keep it, the more is going to be effective. So we hope you find this video useful. So if you have xanthelasma, really you do not need to keep it there forever. There's a number of ways to resolve them. And if you're not sure, just if you have any questions, please send us a WhatsApp, give us a call, send us an email, get in touch. As a final note, we're very, very proud of the xanthelasmaremoval.com website. Has made life very, very easy for people who have xanthelasma the world over, just by spreading spreading the news about the way you can get rid of xanthelasma. Just visit the website. You'll find loads of information about xanthelasma removal. And once again, if you cannot find the information you're looking for, we're very pleased to hear from you. And this is how we've built this website in the first place, by just listening to your feedback. Thank you very much for watching.